Hello, good morning, good day. Welcome back to Create a FinTech Startup. My name is Nicole.
And my name is Jessica Dawson.
And again, we are here to be the most transparent and freely speaking channel on how to create a FinTech startup on YouTube. So today we are talking about beg, borrow, steal, friends and family, pre-seed, raising entry capital to get that idea and that discovery that we talked about last episode up and running. So Jessica, we were just talking before we started the show today. You don't like the name beg, borrow, and steal. It could be funny. It could have negative connotations. I get it. But when it comes down to it, it really doesn't matter what you're calling it. You are begging and going after the people who trust you the most, and that's how you got started. Is that right?
This is true. I do like that you are, in essence, begging and borrowing. But if everybody realizes that Nicole and I are in sales, and we are selling ourselves and selling our product. If you have a good product and you are good in sales, you will be able to raise your capital.
So when we talk about this pre-seed and friends and family round, just to get off up and going, what is it like approaching someone you know, someone you're related to, and you're going to them just with an idea and nothing else? So it makes it quite a bit harder.
Yes, it does. The first investor caught me off guard. That night was in January. Nicole and I had been working on the concept. We had not told anybody what we were doing. We were keeping it a secret. We didn't want anybody to find out. And I went and ate dinner with my mom. Had a conversation over barbecue, which is, Nicole will ask me many times what my favorite dinner is. It is barbecue.
You're a Southern gal.
We were discussing the concept, my mom and I, and at the end of the presentation, I asked her for a certain amount of money. And without any hesitation, she goes, yes. That caught me off guard, but I have told my mother many a times that what she did right there was cause a ripple, and that lit a fire under me. And when I told Nicole about it, she was kind of really, we had planned on starting raising capital, but that very first one was important.
It really was.
Yes.
I think, especially speaking from personal experience, if you are contemplating leaving a career or leaving your current line of work in search of this dream and this idea and this vision you have, you need some wins in the beginning. You need that entry capital to step back and say, okay, maybe this is an okay idea. Yeah, the people that love me are giving me money, but maybe it's also for another reason, and that reason being you have something that could develop.
True. It wasn't, but I think less than 4 days before I was talking to our next investor, which happened to be my brother. And Nicole and I had been keeping this quiet, I believe, for 2 months. My first presentation on our product to my brother was probably the one of the most sporadic presentations that I've ever given.
Let me talk about like presentations. It's
Yes.
almost better. It sounds like, and from experience and from success, it's almost better if you don't have a scripted presentation in the beginning and you're just able to shoot from the hip and, put your emotion into it, put, kind of vomit up your idea and your discovery and where you're at so far, rather than going to these friends and family with, a pitch deck and something scripted, because it won't have the same bang. Or do you think that you should go in with a more organized approach?
I don't think it should be a speech and you should be reading it or have it memorized verbatim. You and I have at many times 10 minutes before our presentation, we discussed who we're talking to and had an outline and decided which style presentation we're going after or going to use. And
Yeah,
Nicole and I do know that there are different personality types out there. And if you're presenting your personality type to the, or your presentation is a set for a certain personality and you give it to the wrong person, it's not going to work. But you do have to kind of sometimes shoot from the hip. It flows easier. It's more natural. But if you have an outline and you stick to that outline, Nicole and I are very good at knowing each other's what they're going to say. And if she missed it, then I would jump in and say what she was going to say.
yeah,
And it is all painting the picture of what our product was in the beginning, what it is now. It is
sure.
very similar to what we were talking about. But yes, not scripted, but an outline.
So being that friends and family are the first people you go to, at least if this is your first time raising capital for a startup, you'll likely go to friends and family and not contacts that you've made from a previous venture. But friends and family, that also means that you need to have existing good relationships with them, or use this as an opportunity to open lines of communication back up between your family.
True. Your network that you are in life is going to either produce funds or not. There are times where I do see it takes more than one conversation in order to get someone to see what Nicole and I see. It takes multiple conversations. It is not you're going to, if you're selling your product or yourself, in order to get funding, the individual who is writing that check has to know who you are, trust you, and believe in you that you can get the job done, and you better have a good product.
So
And when
would you
all of
say
those
it's
line up, they're going to give you funding.
so would you say it's 80% who you are and 20% what you're doing?
Well, at the conference I'm at, that's what they're talking about yesterday in some of the posting that you would do on social media.
Well, I'm asking you.
Yes, it is what you know, what your
I'm
your
talking
skill
about
level.
in friends and family rounds of funding. Would you say it's 80% who in your team are and 20% what your actual ideas, or is it even something like 95% how trustworthy or how well
It's
you,
all in the team.
yeah, and then
It's
5% about what you're
all
doing.
in the team.
But then
The
as you move,
people,
as you
well,
move further in funding, it kind of becomes more about what you're doing and more about numbers, and less about the team. Not that the team isn't important, but other things become more important.
yes and no. When people at work, my old job, I had more time to talk to them, but the people that did cut that check, they said, I'm not investing in your idea, I'm investing in you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would bring Nicole on board, of course, they've heard me for over 15 years talk about the ideas at my last previous job. And I implemented quite a few of them. Some of them I couldn't do to corporate office. But when I brought Nicole on, who had a legal background, had multiple B2B businesses, it gave a different clout or level of skill and trust beyond mine. I am very good at what I do. I am very good with finance and in sales. But when I added Nicole, the second member of my team, that's when things took off. I think I explained that I tried to start the company over 12 years ago and 3 years ago. I did not have the team member that I have sitting to the right of me on the screen. or it will be the left. I'm not sure where it will be, but without Nicole, I would not be where I'm at. And I will definitely say it's all about the team. It's all about the team all the time. When we get further down the road, we have to pull in other team members that have a skill set that has been fine-tuned and is beyond Nicole's and my skill level. That's what they do, is they look at numbers and they give us numbers to where Nicole and I can go use that in a presentation, but it's still Nicole and I when we go to give a presentation. And with our marketing, we have hired a CMO. They specialize in marketing and they know more than Nicole and I do. We have our skill set.
I'm going to just stop you right there just so we stay on track, and we're talking about friends and family rounds of investing.
Sorry, I get long-winded.
That's okay. So other than making sure that you yourself have a skill set and are trustworthy, and your team is trustworthy when you go to talk to your friends and family, what other tips would you have talking to friends and family and raising that entry capital that is so important?
Probably one of the biggest things, Nicole and I, we still struggle with this daily. It is it's our third rule that we have in the company, and that is and you have to listen a lot more than you speak. You have to listen to your investors to understand what is causing them to not write that check, that last hurdle. What do they see with the product? What they would think that they could add to the product. Believe it or not, I've had discussions with people that were potential investors and they have given me ideas. So you're constantly doing discovery by asking a question and listening to the answer, even from Nicole. I will ask her a question, and then sometimes it's hard for me to close my mouth, but I have to
agree. I'm going to agree, and then also challenge that answer a little bit by saying that listening during your presentations and talking with friends and family is extremely important, to let them know that you are present, you listen, you're hearing them, you care about them. But when it comes to especially when you're starting out, you don't have anything developed, you don't have any marketing materials, it's very hard to show exactly what you're doing. So you're going to get a lot of friends and family and a lot of close friends that will sit on calls with you or sit down with you, and just it'll feel like you're brainstorming with a potential investor. Now, again, I'm going to challenge what Jessica said. This to me is very concerning, especially you want to make your goal for talking with them very clear from the beginning and throughout the whole conversation. Your goal is to approach them for a potential investment. Your goal is not to utilize their skill set. They could have been the founders of Google. Your dad could be the founder of Microsoft. I don't care. The reason why you're talking to that person is to share with them your idea and your vision, and to potentially have them invest in your company. Your time spent with them is not to brainstorm and discovery. That is for you and your co-founders and the other people on your team. And I think it can show a lot of positivity and a lot of maturity in your company and yourself if you say, if you could use a line, you could have it scripted or not, to say, I really appreciate your ideas and I really want to listen to all of them, but let me tell you more about what we're doing, and continuously reel the conversation back in to what your goal is. And your goal is to get out in a clear and concise manner what you're doing and ask for an investment. What do you think?
I agree with that partially.
Okay.
I do look at the everything, as far as everybody has their opinion on everything, and people want to give their input. They're going to give their input. If you shut them down really quick at the beginning of a conversation, they will close you off. They want to be part of the solution at the same time, which is why when you're getting feedback all the way at the end where the product is dropping the MVP on the market, you need to learn to listen to feedback. Because if you start thinking that you and only you know all the answers, you're also guiding people and they're guiding you at the same time. But if you think you know all the answers, then you might make a fatal mistake. That's why I like to be completely open-minded and listen to everything. You do have to, Nicole does talk about a lot of things. You're unlimited time. I can talk for 2 to 3 hours on a conversation, and then you end up talking too much. Nicole, Nicole is talking about is fine tune it and eliminate some of the extra talking because you can get distracted rather quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I just, I think I want to keep my intentions clear whenever I'm talking with these early investors. When you start speaking with accredited investors, angel investors, venture capitalists, then is a time for you to listen to their ideas, because not only have they seen a lot of startups come across their desk, but if they are going to be a part of your company and invest in you, they will be decision makers in your company as well. So the friends and family that come along, if they're not your co-founder, will not be decision makers. They are there to get you off the ground and up and running with the capital that you need to get to the next phase, but they will not be instrumental in day-to-day operations. But a venture capitalist or a big angel investor may very well sit on your board or be instrumental in how you're running your company. So then is a time for you to listen to their ideas. Friends and family, be clear about what you want from them. You want their money. You want them to invest in you, in your idea. You don't really care about their ideas. I mean, you don't have to say it like that, but the reason why you're going to them is because you have a good enough idea that you've gone to them. Your idea is not it's malleable within you and your team, but it's not something that is malleable with friends and family. If it is, then you don't have a solid enough idea.
I'm going to bite my tongue.
Why? This is a
And
conversation.
the reason why I say that is,
no, don't bite your
if
tongue.
you start focusing on money, as in who has the money and who doesn't have the money, the people at the bottom also have ideas just like the people at the top. And that's where a lot of people make a mistake.
Sure.
They don't listen to the people at the bottom because they're not in the system that the people in the bottom are at. And I have said many a time, if you are not,
what I'm saying is,
yes,
why are you going to the people at the bottom and your friends? Are you going to them for their input, or are you going to them to be a potential investor? I'm not saying that the people at the bottom don't have great ideas, but I'm saying keep your intentions clear. If you're going to them,
you're like I said, you're under that time thing, so you do have to push off to the side. But there was many occasions, even after you and I had our meeting with someone over our product, that if they were in front of me on another day, they had a question, I was able to answer this question, able to answer or even reinforce something that Nicole and I had said during a meeting if they were unsure. So by listening to them, you let them know that they do matter and their opinions do matter. They are not going to, in my opinion, that no one's going to give you money if you don't listen to them. But you have to, if Nicole and I are on a 30-minute meeting, it's got to be 30 minutes and we got to stay on track, and it's guiding them to where we want to go.
Yeah, I'm not in any way saying that people that are not millionaires don't have good ideas, but I am saying in every way to don't waste your time listening to their ideas if you want them to be an investor. Use another time to brainstorm. But if
That
you're
might be
there
after the
asking,
meeting.
yeah, if you're there asking for an investment, be there and ask for an investment.
Now, there's also the time, Nicole and I got to a point where we had 3 months to think about this product. We had different terminology. We started going so fast in a presentation sometimes that some people would get lost and you would go, uh-oh, we need to slow down. And Nicole's very good at changing the presentation rather quickly. To know the person in front of you, you have to, some people, the concept of our product is very large. Even today, I have a very hard time narrowing the broad scope of our product down to a small presentation because it is such a vast concept. But
yeah, and that could translate to any company or any concept.
yes,
And you need to stay away from the vastness in the beginning. I mean, your idea could be to create toenail clippers for horses, or they don't have toenails, but to create
one big one.
shoes, horseshoes out of carbon fiber or something. You come from the auto industry and you're going to improve these horses' lives. Well, then you start talking to your friends and family and you're raising your entry capital. And now you realize that, this product can work with cattle, and then it could work with here. And then, oh, all of a sudden you're talking about making prosthetics for humans out of the same material. And then, this is all just from a talking with different potential investors. And then you've not only missed out on a lot of potential capital, because in my eyes and in my sales experience, if you are not clear about what you're doing and you're not clear about what you're going to spend that money on, and where you're going to take the company next, why is someone going to give you money? So it's almost like, yeah, someone can see how cool your idea is. So so you could talk with friends and family who are in the horse world, and they're like, oh, that's really cool, but have you thought about doing it this way? And you could use that opportunity to say, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that in the future, but right now I'm focusing on going to market with this product and doing it this way. So consistently reel it back in, and don't, I've never said to dismiss any of their ideas, but this is not an open conversation. This is for you to clearly explain what you're doing and how you're doing it.
now, one of the things that when you're doing these meetings and the presentations in the very beginning, you're getting people to sign an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement. Once a lot of this information is public, you can talk about the stuff that's public, but if they want to go deeper and see way down the path that Nicole and I have, or our track, if you want to call it, they're still going to have to sign paperwork unless they've got quite a bit of capital. And then when they have that capital, they don't have to sign an NDA.
Yeah, so when you talk with like accredited investors, angels, venture capitalists, they just won't sign an NDA. But whenever you're talking to friends and family, it's good to have all of that in place. And also it makes them assured that you are taking the right steps with your company in the beginning. And when you do enforce NDAs in the beginning, what you're doing passively is creating trade secrets for your company, which are valuable. So let's say your company starts out and you have 2 or 3 ideas about this product, and every single person you've talked to about this product has signed an NDA. So you have not gone public with any ideas about what you're doing. Well, it just so happens that all of that information now is considered a trade secret. Sorry. So it's valuable and it carries worth. And as soon as you make that public, you no longer need an NDA for that information. But like Jessica was saying, to see, your full forward-looking statements and your plan of what you're going to do in the next 5 years, unless that is public, then you need to continue creating trade secrets, because unless your company has a patent that you're working on, and registered trademarks and property, you have no value in the beginning. So start creating value for free and start making your ideas trade secrets. And a good way to do that is an NDA. Well, that is time for today. Thank you again for tuning in to Create a FinTech Startup. Today was our friends and family and entry-level capital round of funding. Again, we aim to be the most transparent and the most transparent YouTube channel out there about how to create a FinTech startup. My name is Nicole.
My name's Jessica.
And we'll see you next.